It's Mr. Harland. Hello, everyone. I hope you had a excellent weekend. Yes, I hope you did. And today, yes. Today I decided, well, I'm in a cabin that I built myself. Today we're going to be by the fireplace, and we're going to have some nice cabin ASMR while there's rain. But today we're going to be talking about the time when a burglar sued a family over a simple booby trap that, let's just say, hurt him pretty badly. Yes, put it that way. It involved a shotgun, a trap, a wire, an opening of a door, and a boom! And screaming. Ah! But yes, it also led to a court case called Katko v. Briney. It was held in the Iowa Supreme Court. But let's get into it, shall we? Bertha Briney inherited an old farmhouse in Mahaska County, Iowa, which the Brineys had left vacant for the last 10 years prior to the incident. They had the farmhouse boarded up and placed no trespassing signs around the property. The farmhouse was in poor condition and was subject to frequent burglaries and break-ins. Marvin Katko worked regularly as a gasoline station attendant in Eddyville, 7 miles away from the Brineys' farmhouse in 1967. The area around the house was covered in high weeds. Katko had observed it for several years while hunting in the area and considered it to be abandoned. Prior to July 16, 1967, Katko and his friend Marvin McDonough had been to the premises and found several old bottles and fruit jars, which they stole and added to their collection of antiques. Antiques, such a cool thing. To defend the house against further intruders and theft, Edward Briney mounted a 20-gauge spring-loaded shotgun in the farmhouse and rigged it to fire when the north bedroom door was opened. Bertha suggested aiming the gun downward to shoot towards the intruder's legs rather than cause a mortal injury. Edward Briney also covered the bedroom window with steel. On July 16, 1967, Katko and McDonough again entered the farmhouse with the intent of stealing more bottles and dated fruit jars that Katko considered antiques. When Katko entered the bedroom, he tripped the trigger mechanism and tragedy struck. The shotgun fired into the right leg at point-blank range. Much of Katko's leg, including part of the tibia, was blown away. Only by McDonough's assistance was Katko able to get out of the house. The gunshot wound was sufficiently severe to require hospitalization, where Katko remained for 40 days. Though he did serve a jail sentence, Katko had thought to himself, What is this? Why me? I didn't expect just this shotgun to be sitting. Why couldn't the homeowner actually just be there and do it himself? Well, the short answer is, in my opinion, the dude's a complete coward. Specifically, the homeowner. Gerald Heslinga of Oskaloosa, Iowa, was the attorney for the appealee Katko and Bruce Palmer, and H.S. Life, whatever that is. Also, for Oskaloosa, Iowa, represented the appellants, the Brineys. The court ruled that using deadly force on intruders in an unoccupied property was not reasonable or justified. Briney would have been justified in defending himself with the shotgun if he had been home during the intrusion. The plaintiff's status as a trespasser is irrelevant when assessing liability in this case. The case stands for the proposition that although a landowner has no duty to make his property safe for trespassers, he may not set deadly traps against them, holding that the law has always placed a higher value upon human safety than upon mere rights and property. The court thus ruled that for Katko, entering judgment would be for $20,000 in actual damage and $10,000 in punitive damages. Aftermath. The case had several subsequent results. The Brineys sold 80 of their 120 acres to pay the judgment while proceeding with an appeal. 3 of the Brineys' neighbors bought the property at auction, paying $1 more than the minimum bid of $10,000. After the appeal was denied, they made a leaseback arrangement with the Brineys, but eventually one sold his share to his son for a profit. The Brineys and Katko then joined in a lawsuit against the neighbor to create a constructive trust on the profit, but the case was settled before trial in amounts sufficient to close out the judgment against the Brineys. As Katko's injury was misreported by the United Press International Wire Service as having taken place at the Brineys' residence, several states introduced what were called Briney bills for self-defense, which was not at issue in the case. The Nebraska Legislature Act, stating that no person shall be placed in jeopardy for protecting by any means necessary himself, his family, or his real estate property, was overturned due to improper delegation of sentencing authority in State v. Goodseal in 1971. 4 years after the case was decided, Edward Briney was asked if he would change anything about the situation. Briney replied, "There's one thing I'd do different, though. I'd have aimed that gun a few feet higher." Marvin Katko's own home was burgled in 1976, with burglars making off with several valuables. Katko would later end his own life on November 15, 1994, using a gun in the front yard of his home. Well, that's just a interesting story, but yes, this was a real thing in the United States. But that goes the story of the oddness of the shotgun booby trap, which actually was a thing. That's kind of crazy how someone would just go, "Oh, I want to do that. I'm going to do it." Which was just a horrid idea in general. Well, I hope you enjoyed this somewhat different, but I thought about doing a video about this before, and there wasn't really much, but yeah, that was basically a whole thing about it. Video number 2 will be coming, so as one fellow YouTuber said, we shall be doing this very soon again, my friends. Goodbye, everyone. See you next video.